blind fighters. Get the picture? Let me address something real quick if you're watching this, and I just ask that you would stay to the end so that you could see and understand this. The condition that I have with my eyes that swell and puff up is called Graves' eye disease and a thyroid eye condition. I no longer care about it. But I almost allowed this to hinder me for the additional 8 days in which I haven't posted a video, because I was concerned about how I was perceived, how I would be perceived. But nonetheless, it really doesn't matter. See, I could have put on makeup or cake up and act like it doesn't exist to paint a very pretty external picture about the message that I'm about to send. But I chose not to. I also did a video a long time ago, well, about a month ago, called Can You Trust These Eyes? And when I was talking about these eyes, this is a direct correlation and a message back to me to not worry about what conditions I suffer with, but more so with the gifts that I have inside. So there's no need to hide the swelling. That swelling would hide my pride. I have a message to say. So I have to get back to work. Maybe even puffier tomorrow. It may go down. I never will. But blind fighters, let's go to work. Being sheeply blinded could cost you significantly. But I'm no longer talking to the sheep. The empty pews have now become the fault of the sheep. As you listen to various leaders speak about the absence of people not coming into the buildings, it is often blamed on the sheep. Maybe they just haven't found a good pasture. I said pasture. We get back to the other one, if that's what you thought you heard. The sheep can now taste the BS. And even in their transgressions, even in their shortcomings, even in their degradation, even in their faults, even in their pain, even in their struggles, they walk into a boxed building that emulate the box that they just left on Friday and Saturday night. They really want something real. And when they receive something real, they will have a divide, which means they would have an opportunity to go to one side and then come to the other side to decide. But since you have removed their decisions and you haven't influenced their decisions, they now decide. And they have decided that they are just the same. So what's the difference? Blind fighters. The sheep now want something real and authentic. And what I mean by authentic is not a modern day ministry. It's You figure it out. It should have been read already. But they mainly struggle with what's already been created and or allowed for over the last 50, 60, 70 years. And so with that said, they have seen everybody of whom they've loved, everybody of whom they've trusted, everybody of whom they respected, and they believed every word that came out of their mouth, now waver in their teachings and err in their ways. They too have become blind fighters because they can no longer stand up to what they taught. They're getting punched back based on the readings of what someone else had read versus what someone else said. And we have been blind fighters for so long, echoing the sentiments of anybody else, repeating the same errors and destruction of everybody else, to where the everybody else's that are dead and gone, passed on, moved from one place to the next, 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 act like the word doesn't come back as a recompense based on the scars that they've left. But anybody that's speaking against what they see and what they left now becomes the problem. We have a problem. And the problem are not the ones that see. The problem are the ones that fight the seers. Blind fighters. I named this blind fighters for a reason. But that reason was more than one. If you're too busy looking at my eyes because I suffer with something called Graves' eye disease and thyroid eye condition, you may be the one I'm talking to. See, I still got one good eye. What I'm going to ask you to do is take that one eye you call a camera. I want you to flip it around and show the world your pews. And see if that shit is fun. That's the blind fighters I'm talking about. See, you can stand there and look in one direction and blame others. But you cannot ignore the fact that you see the emptiness in front of you. Maybe we've been doing something wrong for so long. If you care enough about your children and your children's children, maybe you would have been the one to change it. Or maybe everybody else changed you to keep you from being the one. I will not change. I received a phone call. Never mind. Anyway, God reminded me that the eyes of a boxer, the eyes of a lion, and the eyes of a witness will always be attacked first. But when you can spiritually see, and you can definitely see outside of the box and fight outside of the box, You don't worry about it anymore. You must first understand that the fight is not always about what's external. That's what people dress up. I'm just grateful I can see from outside in just as equal as I can see from the inside out. I'm not a blind fighter. I'm just a fighter. We have work to do. We cannot worry about what happened yesteryear or what ill teachings will keep us in. It is up to you to save your children and or your children's children. Don't worry about anybody from the past. They're already gone. They can't even catch up to it if they wanted to. If they did, they would have been smart enough to teach it by now. That may sound arrogant and cocky, but maybe those are the other blind fighters that I'm talking about. They like to fight with everybody else, and it might be fighting against somebody else, or fighting for somebody else and might be fighting against you. I'm just teaching you to fight for yourself and never be a blind fighter.